So over the last few months, I have been watching a channel called Evil Dia. Now, this is somebody from Australia who looks at polyglots and hyperpolyglots, and he has a community, and what they do is they evaluate the claims of these people who are so-called polyglots or hyperpolyglots. So for example, you have someone who says they speak 17 languages fluently, and they have video clips of them speaking those languages, and then once it is put under the scrutiny of people who are native speakers of those languages, all of a sudden those polyglot claims start to fall apart. Now, I love this channel. I've been watching for a while. It's entertaining, but what's most important is that it's informative. It helps people understand that there are fraudsters out there and people lying to try to get your business by selling you garbage products and making claims that are not true. And I don't have to tell you this because you probably already know if you've been on this channel for a while. The English learning community is filled with these types of people who are claiming that they speak English really, really well, but they really don't, or claim that they have a really good product when under the eyes of scrutineers become a garbage product. So I feel that the service he provides is really good, and I've decided, at least in the English learning community, to dip my toe back into that water and start looking at people who claim they speak English well, know English, teach English, and have courses that are going to be helping you out, and looking at it under a microscope and seeing, hey, are these people saying who they are? Are they true when they say who they are? Or are they completely, BSing you? And that's what we're going to do. Now, in the past, I've done this kind of with other people, and I'm not going to go back into those. I've talked about, for example, Lingua Marina and whatnot. And to me, Lingua Marina speaks English quite well. I have a problem with her business practices, and I have a problem with what she's trying to accomplish through language learning. That is something totally different. You can go look at my past videos on her and see what that's all about. But we're going to get into some new territory today. We're staying in the same country, Russia, but we're going into some new territory. So we're going to talk about somebody named Mayhem. And Mayhem here has 227,000 subscribers to his channel, and throughout his whole entire channel you just see these British flags and A1C1, A1C1. So he's claiming that he is a C1 speaker of English, but he even goes a little bit beyond that. We'll get into that in the video here in a second. But as you notice, every single, well, not every single, but a large majority, I'd say about 75% or maybe 80% of his thumbnails are A1 to C1, A1 to C1, and he's making this C1 claim. But is he actually a C1 speaker? Now, the Mayhem person that we're talking about here claims that he is a polyglot. So let's go ahead and go to one of the videos where he has all these flags up there and see if he is really a polyglot. Because luckily for me, I know a lot of people who speak the languages that he claims to speak. So let's go ahead and look at the video. So here's the Mayhem guy's video right here. And these are the languages he says, self-identified languages. So we can see he's a native speaker of Russian, C1, C2 of English, he says, C1, B2 of Czech, B1 of Spanish, and B1 of French. So these are all the languages that he claims to know. Now, he then says he is a polyglot and he speaks 5 languages. Now, we're not going to look at Russian. We already know that he's a native Russian speaker, so there's no need to look at his Russian. When it comes to English, because this is an English channel, we're going to save the best for last. We're going to put that at the end. But what we're going to first do is talk about the other 3 languages that he says he speaks. So the first language that he says he speaks is Czech. And he says he speaks it at a C1 or B2 level. Now, for me, this was great. I know a lot of Czech people who speak English, Czech natives. I have family from Slovakia, and I know people who are from Slovakia, which is very close to Czech. So I knew enough people to actually be able to get some clips of him speaking Czech and have them evaluate his Czech speaking abilities. There's just a problem. There are no videos of him speaking Czech whatsoever. He self-proclaims that he is a C1 speaker or learner of Czech, but yet has no Czech videos whatsoever anywhere of him speaking Czech. So basically, we just have to take his word that he speaks Czech. So overall, we're going to take Czech off the list of languages that he knows because we don't know if he knows it or not. Could he be a C1 in Czech? Maybe. Could he be an A0 in Czech? Maybe. We don't know. But if you're going to actually go up there and claim that you are a C1 in Czech, you better have the proof to back it up. And he has no proof whatsoever, like zero, nothing, no interaction with the Czech language or anything. So we're going to go ahead and mark that one off. So now we got him down to 4 languages. Now, another thing that I thought was kind of interesting when it came to Czech is that he doesn't have Slovak. Now, one of the people I know quite well, I talked to them, they are Slovak and they teach English to Czech learners. And I asked them, I said, okay, if somebody says they're C1 in Czech, how much Slovak would they know? What amount? Would it be understandable or whatnot? Well, that person said that about 98% of a person speaking one or the other, they would understand, though the grammar would sound a little bit weird. If you're Czech or Slovak, go ahead and put your comment below. But they said that the grammar would sound kind of weird, but you pretty much know what somebody would be saying. So as someone is claiming to be a polyglot, it kind of surprises me that he wouldn't have Slovak down as one of his languages, because it seems to me at minimum, he would be at least an A2 and probably a B2 and maybe even higher if he's at a C1 level of Czech. And to me, this kind of shows that maybe he hasn't thought through the language or really has had any interaction, because for those people who do know Czech, or at least those people who learn Czech, they almost automatically know they can probably pick up a lot of Slovak with their Czech knowledge. So the fact that he doesn't even mention Slovak at all makes me think that he doesn't even have any interaction or anything whatsoever connected to the Czech language. But again, he has zero evidence whatsoever of him speaking Czech. That being the case, let's go over to his Spanish speaking abilities. So he claims that his Spanish is a B2, but there's a little bit of a problem, and this is going to be a little bit of a theme. You'll notice this. There's just no evidence of him speaking Spanish whatsoever. Like zero, like none. The only interaction that he has with Spanish is him watching Dumb and Dumber on his iPhone with subtitles, and then watching like a course with subtitles on the bottom. That is like his only interaction with Spanish. So he doesn't speak Spanish whatsoever. We don't see him, like with Czech, we don't see him having a conversation with anybody in Spanish. Now, could he speak Spanish at a B1 level? Maybe. We don't know. We do not have the evidence. So I don't see how he can make that claim without actually providing evidence showing that he actually knows or speaks this language at any level, much less a B1. So this is another language that we're going to have to X off as far as the languages that he knows, because we just have zero proof. So we've now gone from 5 languages that there's verifiable proof of, that he would say, to now 3 languages that he says he knows. So let's go to French. Now, when it comes to French, I was really looking forward to French because I speak French. I know a lot of people who speak French, both in Quebec and in France. I know a lot of Americans who speak French as well. He claims he has a B2 in French. So again, it would be great to have a video of him conversing with somebody in French to show his B2 abilities. There's a problem, and you know what that problem is. That problem is that he has no videos whatsoever of him speaking French. There's nothing whatsoever. In fact, we don't even have him watching a a video with French subtitles on it like we do with Spanish. So there's just zero interaction with French whatsoever, except for one clip in this video where he says he knows 5 languages. Let me go ahead and show you that clip. Let's go back to the video. So here he is looking at his phone and all that. Now he's picking up a notebook, and boom, this is the only thing in any of his videos that I see is connected to French. Now, remember, he's claiming he's a B1, and he's like, I write down these words, and he's now checking them off. Let's look at the words that he has here. He has c'est, frère, et, jardin, jouer, de, attrape, which is not caught, attrape, and that tense right there would be basically like what we would have as present simple, but he has caught, which is past, j'ai trappé, that would be past tense. Qu'est-ce que c'est que ça? Beau. And that's another thing too. He has beau, but he doesn't have belle. He doesn't have the feminine form of it. Jamais, problème, clair, but I'm sure the French is. And then his hand is covering other things. Let's see what other words we see here. Dit. Let's see. Everything. Really, I don't see anything. Alors, down at the bottom, and so on. Dude, this is a A1 list. Okay, this is an A1 list of French. And you don't even need to know French to understand this is an A1 list. So for example, the third word he has up there is et. And the most common conjunction in any language. And he's saying he's a B1 and he's learning the word and in French. Also c'est, it is. Again, very basic common. De, of. Probably the most common preposition in all of French. And it cracks me up that he's saying he knows French. Oh, I'm a B1 in French. He has this notebook of him learning French, and almost everything on it. There are a few kind of, why didn't he put this word or that word, especially if you're B1, why didn't he put beau, belle, and maybe put the masculine, feminine, plural forms of that adjective. This tells me if this is his list of French, he's A1. He is definitely not B2. He is A1. I mean, like, attrape is probably the most difficult word on there. Maybe jouer. Peut-être, mais je ne sais pas. Yeah, I mean, not really much. Okay, so we don't have, but still, even with this being the case, we don't have him speaking French at all. We don't have him talking in French. We don't have him conversing in French. So again, all we have is him writing a bunch of words down in a notebook, and they're A1 words. So I maybe from the video, we can say he's an A1, but without actually giving some evidence of him speaking, we have to say this is another language that he has no proof of. So the interesting thing is here that we have no proof of Czech, no proof of French, no proof of Spanish. So he's actually now gone from being a polyglot to just being a Russian who speaks English. So he's like decimated his own polyglot rating, because according to the Oxford Dictionary, a polyglot is somebody who speaks multiple languages or several languages. Well, we got this guy down to 2 now, at least as far as the proof. And let's go ahead, obviously we're not going to talk about Russian, let's go ahead and talk about his English language ability. All right, so now let's get into the English part. Now with his English, there's a little bit more, and I really stress a little bit more, not much more. If we look at his YouTube channel, almost all of his videos are in Russian. I don't think he has a single one in English, so he doesn't have anything really that we can see that he converses with anyone in English. Now, there are a few things. He does have a Telegram channel, and I guess he has a course that he sells to people. Now, I haven't paid for that course, but the Bearded Linguist actually went ahead and reviewed his course. And I'm going to take a little clip from his video as well, because it's kind of funny to show you maybe how this guy isn't the greatest in English. And if you don't know Kirill, the bearded linguist, and you are a Russian speaker, please, I'll link his channel down below. Please go check it out. He's a great guy. I've talked to him before. Hopefully we're going to do something in the future. Really, really nice dude. Guy is great. All right. So let's go ahead and look at a clip from their video of his English course.
Второе предложение Sue. Кто такой Sue? Это he, либо don't do shopping. Не делай shopping.
В смысле Sue это he? Sue это she, блин.
All right. Now, I don't know Russian. Я не знаю русский. But you could tell from that clip that he called Sue a he. Okay, and the people, Kirill and the woman that he was with said, Kirill's like, wait, Sue is a he? And then you could hear her say, no, Sue is a she. What the hell? Now, maybe he knows the Johnny Cash song, A Boy Named Sue. I don't know. Probably doesn't. But yeah, Sue is a girl or woman's name. Sue is my mom's name. It's short for Susan. So the fact that he said that Sue is a man's name, that's already out of touch, and it makes me question how much English he actually knows. So as I mentioned, it's been really hard to try to find any videos of him speaking English for a prolonged period of time. He might say something in English in a Russian sentence, a few words here or there, but you don't really hear him having a conversation in English. Or in that course that we saw with Kirill, we saw that I didn't show it in this video, but there are times where he is speaking English, but it's purely off a script. So it's not spontaneously speaking English. This video on his Telegram that came up, I think a few weeks ago, or maybe even a few days ago, is about the only thing of him I see actually speaking English spontaneously. So we're going to go ahead and watch this video, and we'll watch the whole thing, but I might make remarks during it to just make a point. So let's go ahead and watch this video.
Learning English is very easy. Look, this is all you need to do. Okay, number one, you take your laptop. Okay, this is your laptop. You sit on the couch. Okay, you put your laptop here and you open a movie.
Okay, so a few things I want to mention here. First, almost all of the sentences that he's using are very simplistic active sentences. Subject, verb, rest of the sentence. You open your laptop. You sit here. You get your laptop. You put your laptop here. Like every single one of the sentences, or most of them, almost all of the sentences throughout this video that you'll see are active sentences, which shows that he doesn't have a strong grammatical grasp of, let's say, maybe passive voice or phrasing something in a different way. Now, he does use conditional later, and we'll talk about that, but it does show that he's using not only simple grammar, but simple words as well.
Open a film. Okay, but first I need to close my curtains. I will close my curtains.
Okay, so we want to put will there. We would say, I'm closing my curtains, because you're actually in the act of doing it. But you notice, but first I will close my curtains. I will close my curtains. It's like he's repeating the same thing. So listen for this repeating of the same words and look at the active sentences.
And I will open
a movie. Said that before.
Now you can see. Okay.
You can see.
Make subtitles in English bigger. Okay, this is good. So I'm watching this film and I'm trying to understand. But if
active.
I don't understand something, I stop this film and I choose this word that I don't know and I translate it, and I'm learning new words and phrases.
Okay, now I'm going to say this. Someone's paying him, and I mentioned this earlier in the video, I think. I don't know. I think I did. He's saying, hey, pay me to help you learn English. And here's my secret. Here's my novel idea. You watch a movie, another Jim Carrey movie. He must like Jim Carrey. Another Jim Carrey movie. You watch a movie. You turn on the subtitles. And if you don't know the word, You look it up in Google Translate. I mean, Jesus Christ, who the hell isn't doing that already anyways? I mean, this guy is telling you the most simplistic, you know, thing there is to learn languages. He's saying, if you don't know a word, look it up. Well, no shit, Sherlock. I think that's what literally everybody does. So now you want me to pay you to tell me something that literally anybody knowing a language knows? That's absolutely nuts. It's absolutely insane. Let's keep on going. The fact that he has the audacity to say, pay for my services. And by the way, the sun, oh, Jesus Christ. The sun's coming through right now. I shouldn't say Jesus Christ in a bad way because the Pope is from Chicago and is a Sox fan. Yay, Pope. But the sun's starting to come through. Anyway, yeah, let's keep on going with this video because he's just saying, hey, I'm going to teach you how to learn English with methods you already know by just breathing and being alive. It's insane. Google it. Jeez.
And I'm watching, but I understand that you can't translate everything. This will take too much time, but you know what? Sometimes you can watch film in English and translate words and phrases.
We would usually in that case say a film in English. We would put the article. We can use film as uncountable, but a lot of times when we talk about film as uncountable, it's like the actual physical film, like putting film in a camera, for example. So if it is a movie, we usually say a film, okay? Or usually in English, in American English, we say a movie.
But sometimes you can just watch the whole movie and don't think about translating anything. So you have to combine translation and no translation. And if you will do that, you will have the best progress you can imagine.
And if you will do that, no, as I mentioned in a short video recently, we do not put will in the if part of a first conditional sentence. So when he said, if you will do that, okay. Now, many of my students say this, many of my students who are Russian say this, and I correct them or whatever, but these students are also not claiming to be a C1 or maybe even a C2 learner of English. They're not saying they're at a C2 level of English. This guy is making that claim. And if you will do that is definitely something that a C2 learner would definitely not say, and probably a C1 learner as well. So that to me shows he doesn't have the feel. He doesn't have the he doesn't have the grasp of the language at the C1 level that I think. First conditional sentence, you can use will in the second part. So we have the if and the when or then. Okay, you can put will there, but not in the if. We'll never say if I will, first conditional. Okay, so big A2, B1 level mistake. But again, I usually wouldn't be picky on it, but this guy is claiming to be C1, C2 in English.
Step number 2, you go to your bedroom, okay? This is my bedroom and this is my bed.
Okay, so you go to your bedroom, this is my bedroom, this is my bed. It's like the same sentences. He's just saying the same things. And the problem with this is these are what those polyglots who say they go on the street and they talk to people, they learn these simple phrases and words and something that they know they'll have in conversation. Now, remember, this guy probably wrote this before he actually acted it out, but it seems to be the same concept that he memorized this little something that would be easy for him to remember because he's kind of repeating the same things over and over and over again.
So now I take my phone, okay, this is my phone.
I take my phone, this is my phone.
My bed.
I lay on my bed, we got bed
Okay,
again.
And then I open YouTube.
I open
Okay,
YouTube,
and
he
now
said
I
that
need to
before.
Find a video in English that I can watch. For example, this. Okay.
Why the
this
hell
is-
would you watch Joe
sorry,
Rogan?
This is advertisement.
An
I need
advertisement.
to wait a little bit. Okay, skip. And now we start watching a YouTube video. Now we need to
So that was the only thing that maybe was spontaneous when that ad came up, except he probably expected it to come up. Was that spontaneous? Maybe, I don't know.
find some table.
Okay, so he says here, now we need to find some table. That's using the word some incorrectly. We would say here, I need to find a table. Now, when we say some, we usually in this context mean some sort of, okay? So we could say, for example, I need to find some table, a wood table, a stone table, a brick table or something. I need to find some kind of table, all right? But in this case, we're just saying I need to find one table. I need to find a table. Again, a common mistake amongst Russian speakers learning English, but I don't mind those of people who are learning. But when you're claiming to be C1 or C2, that's something that you should, especially C2 if you're claiming, that's something that you should be way, way past. Let's keep going.
Okay. Here is my table.
Here's my table.
Sit.
He said that
My
before.
laptop
I need
again.
my laptop. Same.
And
He
now
keeps
I need
repeating the
to
same
open
words. And I need to open. He
file
keeps repeating the exact same
where
words.
I can write. Okay, now I need to choose some topic and
Choose a
write
topic, not
text.
some.
For example, how to be happy. Okay, this is the first.
Okay, so you want to put how to be happy is not a question. Okay, that's, yeah, so you want to put a question mark there.
Text, and you need to write anything you can. Okay, anything you can, even if you make mistakes. Let's go. So number 1, if I want to be happy,
That's a
I need
correct,
to have good people.
that's a correct first conditional sentence.
Okay, so for example, you write this sentence. Okay, this is the first sentence.
See, he
You
repeats these
copy
things.
this sentence, or you copy your text,
Repeat.
and then you open Chat GPT. Okay, you send your message, your text to Chat GPT, and you ask Chat GPT, correct my mistakes, please. Boom, and Chat GPT will help you to correct your mistakes. Okay, and step number 4, this is the most important step in our plan, and maybe the most.
Okay, so remember, this is the most important step of his entire plan. You know, his plan so far is Google shit and put it in ChatGPT. Okay, now this is number 4, the most important thing.
Enjoyable. Let's go here. So I will sit on my couch again, and this is step number 4. You speak with your friend in English.
So, Mayhem, this was your opportunity. Your number 4, your most important step. All your other steps were sit down, lay down, look for videos, Google and Chat GPT shit, right? That was all you had up to then. Then you had number 4, the most important thing. And what was that? Talk to your friend in English. This was your opportunity to actually converse with somebody in English. But all you did was show us with your camera, looking at your computer with your camera. You could have spoken to somebody in English. You could have had a conversation with another native Russian speaker in English. You could have had a conversation with a native English speaker. You could have had a conversation with anyone, but you still do not have any conversations that I can see in any of the stuff you have, especially in this video, since you use such simplistic sentence structures, words. You kept on repeating the same words. See what I was telling you about repeating the same words and repeating the same sentences kind of over and over again? These are tricks that fake polyglots do when they go out in the real world to actually act like they know something about the language. They remember these certain sentences, and they repeat these certain sentences in different ways. So he does not show me at all that he has any knowledge of the English language, no proof whatsoever, at a C2 level. Now, let's go ahead and look at the European Common Framework for Languages, the A1, A2, B1, B2, C1, C2, and let's kind of figure out where we can put this guy from what we have so far. All right, so here we go. We have the Common European Framework, the thing that most of you are already familiar with. We're going to start at B2. No, we're not even going to go into the C's, even though he claims to be a C1 or a C2 in English. We're going to actually start with B2. And let's look at what it says under B2. B2. Understand the main ideas of complex text on both concrete and abstract topics. He didn't do that. He was like, I sit in a chair, I lay into bed, I open a file, I watch a video. Everything was active voice, everything was kind of repetitive. He basically said 4 or 5 main ideas in the course of all of his sentences. Okay, so that doesn't qualify for that. Interact with a degree of fluency and spontaneity that makes regular interaction with native speakers. That's kind of an incomplete sentence. I think it should be interaction with native speakers easy. Didn't do that. Okay, so he didn't interact with any native speakers, so therefore we cannot really judge his fluency. And then the final one, produce clear, detailed text on a wide range of subjects and explain a viewpoint on a topical issue. So he didn't do that either. And the problem is there isn't any video clip or podcast or anything of him showing that he could do this. So the question we really have to ask ourselves is this guy even a B2? Now, we haven't gone into C1 and C2 yet, but we already can say from the data that we have, this guy doesn't even qualify as a B2 learner. Now, let's go ahead and backtrack. Let's go to B1. B1, understand the main points of regular situations. I would say what he did was quote unquote regular situations. Okay, good. Produce simple text on topics which are familiar or of personal interest. Obviously, he wants to know English. He wants to teach English. He wants to learn other languages, claim he's a polyglot, even though there's no proof of him being a polyglot. He falls into this category. The next one, describe experiences, events, dreams, and ambitions, and briefly give explanations. He didn't really get into that, okay? But to me, based on the videos that we've seen of him and some of the videos that I have seen in his actual course that he has, the one that I showed you with the do shopping, he seems to fall way more in the B1 category. I don't see him in the B2 category, and I have no idea how he could consider himself a C1 or a C2. He would have to actually provide actual evidence of him speaking to anyone. I'm not saying speak to me, speak to anyone and show that you are even remotely an advanced speaker. Because as I have you right now, from the evidence that you have given to us to evaluate your English level, you are a B1, my man. Okay, you are not a B2. You are not a C1. You're definitely not a C2. So I recommend that you show us a video of you conversing with somebody in English, and not for 2-3 minutes. Complex topics, because you're making the C2 claim. You're making the C1 or the C2 claim, okay? Complex topic, half hour, 45 minutes, an hour or more. Now, for those of you who know, I did an interview back in the day with Inna in English. She is a native Russian speaker. She is from Belarus. And we had a conversation about English, learning English and all that for quite a while. I don't know how long that video went, but it went pretty long. I think there might be like one edit, one cut that I had to make in that video. Maybe. I don't even know if I did. That's C1, C2 level. Inna in English, she's C2 level because she can go beyond explaining just the average everyday. I went to go shopping, okay? She can actually use English in a concrete way to explain complex situations, have an abstract view of the English language. This guy seems to me to have a very simplistic grammar, has average vocabulary, and I don't say this to be insulting, but, you know, I'd say half of my students speak English better than he does. Really. Okay. And again, the problem is he's selling himself at a C1, C2 level, and he's selling a product. That's the problem I have. All right. So what do you think? Go ahead and comment down below. Do I think that this guy's a fraud? I don't know. he needs to provide more details. He needs to provide more evidence that he speaks any of these languages. Now, we just went over English, but what about Czech? What about French? What about Spanish? He's claiming a C1 in Czech, but he doesn't speak Czech in any of these videos. He's claiming a B2. If you want to speak with me in both English and French, let's go ahead. Let's do an online thing, okay? He's making all these claims, but there's just no evidence of him doing it. And, you know, a lot of you might not like Lingua Marina, but at least she does her videos in English, and she does her videos in English quite well. Yes, she makes mistakes. Yes, she makes errors or whatever. Look at the video that I did yesterday, that I put online yesterday. Okay, but she puts herself out there. You know, the Venya Peck and all them, they put themselves out there. Their videos are in English, and their video isn't, you know, Lingua Marina doesn't say, I have my laptop, I sit on the bed, I get up from the bed, I lay on the bed, I find a table. I say, like, she speaks a lot more advanced than that. So if we're going to say who's more likely to be a C1 speaker, Lingua Marina or, you know, Marina McGilko or this Mayhem guy, easily McGilko. Easily. All right, well, that's all for today. Thank you all very much. I'll see you in the next video. If you have someone that you want me to talk about and look at and investigate and all that, who says that they are a native English speaker, or they speak English at a native level, or they're teaching people about English because their knowledge is so great, and you're kind of skeptical of them, put them down below, because I think it's important to call out these people. Do I think Mayhem is fraud? I think if we're looking at a 50-50, I would tip it toward he's probably a fraud. But, you know, those people who actually are doing the good work out there, they need to be praised as well, so that, you know, when you're getting a product from someone, you're saying, hey, I know I'm getting some good. All right, thank you all very much. I'll see you in the next video. Later.